Welcome back. I'm Kendall Makhamati, and I've got your sports on Newsroom. Now, top story for this hour is the Proteas. And they've had a rough time of it in recent months. And those hoping that a return to home conditions would help them get their mojo back have been sorely disappointed as tourists England dominated play on all 4 days, including day 5 so far. Now, with greats such as Captain Hashim Amla and linchpins Faf du Plessis, JP Dumini not firing, it's not been easy on us fans. Julian joins me to talk a little bit about all of this. Good morning, welcome back to Newsroom.
Thank you, Kendall. How are you doing?
Honestly, not good.
Yeah, not good, yeah, I hear you.
We're all hoping for a much better performance by the Proteas after that dismal outing in India. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, it's not just India. It started with the Bangladesh series. We could have got totally hammered in Bangladesh, to be quite honest with you. We've come home. We, as you rightfully said, the South African fans, I think the South African public, and so much of the team were looking to get back on home soil. Firstly, we didn't quite get the pitch conditions right, so we didn't prepare a pitch that really suited us, and that may have been, we were holding back a little bit, being a little uncertain. There's a confidence issue within the team that we can see in the body language on a day-to-day basis. When they step out there, the press conferences, Hash is looking a bit like a depleted man, something we haven't seen in a long time. And just generally the team are struggling for form.
You covered a little bit about pitch conditions. It's been said before that Kingsmead is not happy hunting ground for the Proteas.
Yeah, 36% win ratio there for the Proteas. That's not great. That's not normally the way you want to start a test series. I think we also, one of the other stats that I looked at recently was England haven't won the first match of a test series since 2004. So this is almost like the Box losing to Argentina in Durban. Maybe we should start moving things away from Durban.
Good call, because I'm going to ask you about that later on. Like, what are the solutions to the current lean patch? Because, like you say, it's been coming for some time. It didn't just happen now, yeah. And since Bangladesh, and maybe for some of the players a little before that as well.
Yeah, look, I've got a theory that it really started after that semi-final of the Cricket World Cup. Many people wouldn't really put 2 and 2 together there, but for me that was a defining moment. We had all that speculation afterwards, and no one really came out and spoke about it. There was pre-World Cup, there was the choking scenario, there was the talk about should they have a sports psychologist, a performance psychologist on board. The Proteas haven't taken someone along. Do they want to bring someone in now for an emergency fix-up? That's not the way to go. You change behaviour incrementally over time. You build high-performance teams over time. We work with Surrey Cricket, for example, in the UK. They've seen the absolute need of having sports and performance psychologists as part of their team. It's part of their setup. You travel to every game, every training session, you're there. The Proteas have decided not to. Whether that's right or wrong, that's to be debated.
I think the proof is in the pudding, and I'd actually take it a little further than the semi-final of the World Cup. That match against India, that much hyped up and talked about match against India prior to us getting into the knockout stages was a dismal affair because India absolutely dismantled the Proteas.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's scarring. There's massive amounts of scarring from this the bulk of this Proteas team. We've lost key players. A Jacques Cullis retiring in the last couple of years, a Graham Smith, a Peterson. All those guys retiring. So the bulk of our team, it's a very different new look South African team. The hunger doesn't seem to be there. The players are playing within themselves. When you're faced with a scenario like we're seeing at the moment, where players are playing to avoid defeat as opposed to going out and dominating the opposition, you're always going to be on the back foot, always defending.
Julian, this brings me to the question then. Is it about the selections? Is it about the coaching? Because, like you said, they've chosen to go the route of not having support personnel in terms of the head doctors, if I were you to use old school speak, yeah. But to use psychologists, to use mentors and mental coaches. Is it got something to do with the way the Proteas are being run and managed?
Look, it seems old school. It seems like we're stuck in a bit of a rut, and maybe we just need one really good performance that kind of kickstarts things again. Unfortunately, that big performance hasn't, seems to be far away. I think there's a couple of players who unfortunately are going through a really, really rough patch, and I think people have spoken at length about the Faf du Plessis, the JP Duminis. We've now given
Hashim
Amla, absolutely. You don't, off camera I've been speaking about, do you drop Hashim Amla? Can you afford to ever drop Hashim Amla? Maybe taking the captaincy away from him, that might be a bit of a start to a solution. We've given the gloves to AB. We've seen him drop a couple of catches in this test match, which won't do. He's batting
Let's talk a little bit about
good.
that, about Hashim Amla and the test captaincy. It's surely not within the realms, not outside of the realms of possibility for Hashim Amla to possibly take a sabbatical maybe. takes a sabbatical, brings somebody else in, like to take his place, like possibly, and we can talk a little bit about this as well, as Stephen Cook, who's done extremely well in the Sunfoil series. Then he's up there right at the top. Move some people around, and then we have somebody like an AB de Villiers becoming captain, because he's currently the ODI captain, and he's done a fairly good job as ODI captain, and the team is used to him and is used to the ropes.
Absolutely, and I think AB it almost seems like the natural choice. There's not many players in that team at the moment that are putting their hands up and saying, "Well, pick me." There's no genuine outright leader in that team. So I would take, if you do that, you take the gloves away from AB de Villiers, absolutely. You bring in a Quinton de Kock and you replace him, you bring him in at number 7 or number 8 or wherever it is in the batting order. Stian van Zyl is a good batsman. We've messed with him. He's not an opening batsman. We take him to India in appalling conditions, allow him to bat on a
nobody can bat
on a wicket that no one was able to bat on. There wasn't a 50 or 100, barely 100 in that series. So, and then you want to judge him on that. So maybe move Stian van Zyl further down the order, and like you say, there's a Cook who made 168, I think it was, for the Lions recently. Quinton de Kock just made 100. I heard now that Imran Tahir just took 12 wickets in the Sunfoil series over the weekend. Just don't tell me this is it.
And this is it. This is us watching England taking the series, and let's see if they go out in a whimper or not. But yeah, this is pretty much it. We're watching it live, and visuals of the touring entourage. Yeah, we'd rather watch what's happening on the pitch than what's happening out in the stands. But yeah, England have taken it.
Absolutely. I woke up this morning kind of preparing a slightly different discussion, hoping for a post-lunch South Africa fight back. AB still there, really gritting it out. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened, and I think we're in a lot of trouble. There's 2 days before the next test match. That's not sufficient time to make massive wholesale changes. But I do think, I understand there will be an emergency meeting from the convener of selectors as soon as this match finishes, and I think we may see 1 or 2 possibly big changes, and hopefully for the better. Dale Steyn, we don't know how much longer he's going to last. Personally, I don't think he's going to be ready for the next test. So already we need to find another bowler there. Rabada is the obvious natural choice. He was great in India and before that. So let's see what happens. I think it's interesting times, but it's concerning times. It's really concerning times for South Africa. And then I guess on the positive note, there's another test match. There's 2 more to go. We can always come back and change that up and get a win.
You know what? You're talking about how concerning it is and how we do have people on the wings. Why is Imran Tahir not in the test side? He just took an 8 for 32, a career best 8 for 32. And that isn't out. And that literally means that the first test, the Boxing Day test, is over. England have got 1 up on South Africa in South Africa. That's dismal. Why is Imran Tahir not in the test side?
Well, I think, Imran Tahir has his pros and his cons. No one really sits on the fence with Imran Tahir. You either love the guy or you don't really back him. I think Dane Pitts hadn't done anything wrong. He got the injury and then rightfully took his chance. He hasn't been a bad bowler. He's done all right. He got a 5 for.
He got 5 for.
Yeah, he got a 5
Here's what I think, Julian, and tell me what you think. I really think Rabada should be bowling.
Absolutely.
I think Morkel should be bowling. Yeah. And I do believe that both Pete and Tahir should be bowling. 2 spinners.
Yeah, and perhaps we missed the trick here. Durban, we should have had Tahir. Yeah, it's home conditions for him. This is exactly where he wanted to throw the ball to Tahir and say, bowl 60 overs for us. And that hasn't happened. Now going to Cape Town, perhaps on a much more bouncier, greener wicket. Different story altogether. There you may not see the likes of a Tahir. And then obviously coming back to Johannesburg, Gauteng, I doubt we're going to see Tahir in this series. And it's quite ironic that these things happen. He gets a 12 for, when the Proteas are struggling to take the necessary.
And he got it here. He got that 8 for 32 here, 11 Absolutely. Wickets over 2 days up here on the Highveld. But really the big problem really is the batting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be fixed. And that's what we're hoping that the convener of selectors are able to talk to and fix.
Yeah, the batting is the biggest problem. We're sitting with 5 out of form players. We're sitting with Bavuma who has to come in, and the top order has fallen apart. So you've got JP who doesn't look like he knows where to find form at this stage. Faf who's absolutely, unfortunately, he's nowhere. He's absolutely nowhere. And he's batting within himself. They're checking their shots. Hashim Amla, if you analyse the way his foot movement, his first trigger movement prior to this this series and prior to the India series, when he was really moving properly, that trigger movement is completely different to what we're seeing now. He's batting within himself, he's captaining within himself, and he's not taking the decisions that he should be.
The question then, you need to send the questions up the order then.
Yeah,
Coach,
absolutely. Yeah,
selectors.
absolutely. This is a time to say, well, are we stagnant? Have we been too comfortable at the top for a long time? After this series, we may find ourselves number 3 or number 4 if you look at the rankings currently in the world. England will move up. Australia are going to move up after their annihilation of the West Indies. India are going to move up after their 3-0 win of the Proteas, and we're going to move down. That's not good. We've been in the number 1 position for many years now. We've lost 4 out of 5 test matches now. We haven't won a test match in 7. This is the world number 1. We've got, I think, 2 or 3 50s for the entire year. I mean, that's no stat for a number 1 team in the world. Some drastic changes need to be taken there, and absolutely, I think for me, it's more than just that. There's a couple of areas.
Yeah, 241 run win by England, and it's on day 5. Well, at least we managed to get to day 5, something that we hadn't been able to do before we came back.
Yeah,
in
it's
India.
been refreshing, and I mean hopefully that's not the kind of jokes that we're going to start hearing. But it's been refreshing that at least there's been a five day, even though we didn't make lunchtime, but it's gone into the 5th day. That's besides the point. We want to see a Proteas team that's winning, and that's really it.